All right, so you're welcome to Cansat Ghana. In terms of an introduction to the coding kits that have been provided to all the schools. This is mainly sponsored by the Office for Family Development, Electronics, and Xavier-based Solution. So in today's section, I'm just going to introduce a little bit into the component that you may have in your coding kits, and also just introduce what we'll be doing. So as you would already see or have, we have the payload module or the Cansat payload module, which is a microcontroller that we're going to use to test the sensors or do the various lessons associated with the components you have in your coding kits. So we have a breadboard, we have a PL sensor, and we have all these other sensors. So I'll just go to the next image where I will show you the various images of the sensors that you have in your kits. I should say that some of the sensors or some of the components will look a little bit different from what I'm showing here, but the idea is still the same. So you have the DHT11 or 22 sensor, which is a digital humidity and temperature sensor. We have a breadboard, we have some LEDs, we have a PL sensor, and I think some schools also have the Maybell, which is a complete microcontroller setup used for teaching electronics by electronics. We also do have an ultrasonic sensor module, an RGB LED. So there are two different types, and you may have one of these. We have push button switches, which looks like this. And of course, we have the Nyakwa module or the microcontroller module itself, which is what you'll be using to program your sensors. We also have a light or a light-dependent resistor, which looks like this. We have a set of resistors for you to use. We have some buzzers. We have jumper wires, and we also have potentiometers. So these are the components we do have in your coding kits. So I'll move on to the lessons that we have planned, or we are hoping that you guys can be able to do with the various sensors that you have. So according to those sensors, we have decided to record sections or small byte videos, which will cover these various topics. So we have already had an introduction to the kit, which is what I just talked about. There's also already a recording on the Cansat payload in terms of the pin layout and stuff like that, which I think I will still do throughout this series of recordings. And we have also had a lesson on how to add the Nyakwa library, which is already available on our YouTube page. We also will be doing today how to add a library. We'll be looking at how to install the Arduino IDE, opening something for the serial monitor, the breadboard, through all these various lessons. So this entire series will cover these various lessons I have just showed here. I think we have already visited schools and installed something called the Arduino IDE. So this is the software which is used to control, or which is where you are going to code your microcontroller. So whether the Nyakwa payload module you have, or a typical Arduino, so I have one of those typical Arduino here which I'm showing. And you could also have an Arduino Nano, which is also another type of microcontroller. So there's a software which is used to control, or basically, which is where you code these various components I showed you. And we are going to learn how to install this software on your computers. Like I said, we have already visited schools and these installations have been done, but I just want to go through anyway how these various softwares can be installed. so I'll stop sharing my screen now and we can go through the steps. So the very first step is you will need to visit or put this website into your browser, and it will take you to a page which I'm going to talk to you about shortly. So I'll stop sharing my screen now. And I'm going to share another screen which would take us to the various processes involved in doing this. So, so hopefully you can see my screen now, and we can go through the process. So the Arduino IDE, well, IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, which is just, like I said, the software which helps you to be able to control your hardware itself. Which is,
please check the waiting room. Check the waiting room. Someone is waiting.
All right, thank you. All right, so there's nobody there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you yeah, I mean, there's nobody here. I was going to make it a co-host, but I don't think I have that option. So I'll just ignore for now, and then I'll check from time to time to add anybody who's going to enter. All right, so the Arduino IDE, like I said, is a software which you can use to control the hardware itself. So you will not have this, you would have you would have a microcontroller which we have developed, which looks similar to this, which again I'm going to show you an image after we go through this process. So this software helps you to control the whole thing. So once you put the link that I just showed a few seconds ago, it will take you to a page that will provide something like this. So the version that you will have will be Arduino 2 point something, because this is not the current version. And you would see these various options there. So what you will need to do is once you visit and go there, what you need to do is concentrate on this parts. And so let me try and see if I could get a highlighter and just to annotate. So once you get there, you should just concentrate on this portion of the page. Cool. All right. So once you concentrate on that part, you notice that you have something called the Windows installer, Windows zip file. And I think the easiest option to go for is if you're using a Windows computer, then you use the Windows installer, which is going to download the setup or the executable file that you can install. So once you do, you do click on that or any of the associated one. If you're using a Mac or Linux, you can use these options and select which, well, according to which computer you're using. So you notice that you see something like this, which says click Windows installer. I mean, once you click on the Windows installer, you see something support Arduino, and you have contribute and download, and then you have just download. So what you will need to do is you just need to click on just download, and it should get you to download the file. So once you download the file, if you downloaded the zip file, it should have these various files there. But the most important one you would be concentrated or you would be interested in would be this one. So I'll just put the arrow there. So this one, so that is the file that you would install. So once you do install that file, you should see this pop up as part of the setup. It will ask you to agree on the terms. And once you you click on this agree, it should now take you to this next screen, which is the setup, the Arduino setup installation options. And you just have to take these various options, and then you click on next, and then we go to the next setup, which will ask you for which folder you want to put that in. By default, you will create one like this. You just click on install, and in the end, you would have the setup startup, and you see you will extract some files. And once it is done, it will ask you that would you want to install a software or a driver. So usually to be able to communicate with the software and yeah, to be able to communicate with the software which you are going to install, and then the hardware itself, which will be the Arduino itself, or it could be, like I said, the microcontroller module that we are providing. So to be able to communicate with them, you need a driver, and that is this USB driver you'll need to install. So we'll ask you, would you like to install? Click on install, and then you can also install that driver. So once that is installed, you should now see a screen that looks like this. It will usually say sketch, and then we'll put the date. So if it is today, it will say something like September 16 or 20th, and it will put a letter according to it. And then you see the version of the Arduino also up here. So this is how you can go through the process of installing the Arduino IDE, which is the software we use to code our hardware, which in this case will be the Cansat payload controller. So I'd like to stop here and just show you an example of, not really an example, but I'll show you how it actually looks like on your screen. And we can sort of start from, or maybe continue. So yeah, so if you can see my screen now, you can see what I just said. So this is the Arduino IDE, like I said, it will open up, and by default, it will put a skeleton of a code in there. And this is how you install the Arduino IDE. Like I said, this has already been done, but we decided to do a video about this. So I will stop here, and this will end the very first part of our kind of recording. And